Okay, so we're covering, and tell me if you're still happy with this, how I've been able to speak on the biggest stages in 30 countries around the world for clients including McDonald's, Starbucks, Coca-Cola, and Virgin. And it's JJ, MC, speaker, entertainer, world traveler. All correct?
All correct.
Okay, so let's start with why you wanted to do this, JJ. So what was your, like, before you even did any of this, what was your goal, your purpose? Like, why did you want to become a speaker? And did you see this happening? Like, is the end picture the same as what you wanted back at the start?
I think I just wanted to be in front of people. I think the typical, like, I wanted attention. And I've always been on stages. I've always loved being the face of any kind of cool party, the host, the likable guy. I just felt that I wanted to get people to listen to me, as we all do, right? But the way I wanted people to listen to what I have to say, and I love having people in the palm of my hand. I love being able to control a group of people and then just under my spell.
And did you see it as like an income stream back then? Was that part of the goals or not necessarily?
No, you know what? I was never the guy that's like, I see this as a business. I'm like, I just want to speak to more people and do bigger stages. And anytime I would see something that I haven't had, I'm like, I want that. How do I get that? How do I get on that bigger stage? How do I travel the world?
Uh-huh.
You know?
So what were the stages you were on at that point before all of this?
Well, the way how it sort of came about is I started my career as a magician, right? So I was doing like little card tricks at like corporate events when I was 15 to 20. But then I would go to these events on a 7:30 p.m. in a really nice hotel on a Wednesday night, and I would be sitting there doing card tricks, and I'd see some guy on stage presenting and speaking, and I'm like, how do I get that? Like, I want that, right? And then I would just figure out, sort of work backwards. So like, how do I get that? Who do I need to call? What do I need to say? What do I need to do? And once I was able to stand on these stages and work for these billion-dollar companies, that feeling of like, I'm doing what I want to do here was a great feeling.
Uh, Is it like, is it for the thrill? Like, what is it like? Why did you, obviously bigger stages just to advance your career and feel like you're progressing, but what is it about that you like so much?
I asked this by a lot of speakers. It's actually got nothing to do with the next stage up, because once you've done 300, 1,000, it's not really much of a difference. It's a different dynamic. It is a little bit of different dynamic, but it's the euphoria of people, just you on stage and having people moved by what you have to say. It's like Enrique Iglesias said, it's called his album Euphoria, because when you're on stage for, 50,000 people in an arena who are all singing your song, he says it's the best drug you can never, it's the best feeling you've ever had in your life.
Right. So you wanted a bit of a taste of that.
Yeah, it's not even what I wanted a bit of taste. Once you taste a little bit of it, you want more.
More and
Right?
bigger.
More, bigger, and more energy. And then you go, well, how can I go to another country and do it? Because like, how do I travel the world and still get to do what I enjoy doing? There must be a way to figure this out. And then once I got that taste of working in Singapore, Vietnam, Hong Kong, Thailand, it's like, wow, like this, I could really keep doing this. It gives me a chance to travel the world, basically get a free holiday.
Which kind of leads me to the next question. So you had this goal of doing bigger stages. Now we're in the present and you've done a lot of it. What are I know you've done so many, it's ridiculous, but what are the highlights? Like, what are the biggest results you're most happy about, that you're most excited to share?
I think that my favorite stage I ever performed was in Sydney, actually, and it was for a company called Google, aka their sister company YouTube. And I used to do YouTube for a living. And I remembered when they wanted to take YouTubers from their house and put them on a stage and make it a big event. And it was the first ever event in Sydney in 2014. And they wanted to get a TV personality and then a YouTuber to host the event. And my name came into it because they saw how I engaged people on my YouTube channel. And I remember getting to the Luna Park Arena in Sydney, and they literally gave me 10 minutes to like, hey, here's the stage. Great. Go get ready and come out. No practice. No, like, hey, we're going to talk about this. And it's like, do we get a practice? No. But there were, I believe, 7,000 people in that audience, right? And I think the last stage I was on was maybe 300. So I went from like 0 to just 100 within like that, with that feeling on stage. But the best thing about it, when you got 7,000 people watching you, and then also 10,000 people globally with the best production team in the country, screens up the biggest celebrities in the world, right? This is when YouTubers, like I had the people in that room, I remember in the green room, there was more power than President Obama at the time. Like they could break the internet.
Any
Those
name drops?
people, sorry?
Any name drops? Any names you can say?
Yes, we had everybody. You name any YouTuber you know. It was the biggest and the best. We had Ryan Higa, we had Jenna Marbles, we had I Superwoman. We had, and she's doing that in her own TV show now. Like everyone you could think of in a green room. And knowing me and my big fat mouth, I went, we could break the internet right now. And sort of like everyone laughed. But the ironic thing was, just an old side thing, is like, it's funny how big these YouTubers are, how insecure they were when they weren't in their room in front of the camera. Their stage presence, they were all scared to walk on stage. They're going from it's in their room with a camera to now on stage in person, no editing, for 7,000 people, 10,000 people globally. Yeah, they were nervous. But for me, I was like, bring it. And why I loved it, I had 2 in-ears, which in-ears are like receivers from the producers talking to me. I had screens. I had my name on the wall. I had people screaming. I said, I'm a superstar. This is it. That feeling I'd never forget. And I'm so happy that I flew down my dad to Sydney, because I was living in Brisbane at the time. And I flew in a buddy of mine, a photographer. And I've been using these photos since, for the last, what are we now, 2020. So 6 years,
Now, I remember there's a Vietnam event too. You had a big crowd, if I recall. Would that be a highlight?
That was crazy. That was crazy. So I got to not as much speak, but used to hype man at a big event in Asia for an EDM event. So obviously when music festivals, there were just every city and country around the world, everyone's having a music festival event. So there was a time in Vietnam when they were flying in big DJs, and I was like, I have to get on this stage. I'll do whatever it takes. And I figured out a way in, as excruciating it was, to try and get basically to convince them to let me be on stage. Yeah, telling everyone to put their hands in the air, and everyone put their hands in the air. That was another feeling in itself, with music, with lights. In Asia, you're like, wow. I felt like it was my show with DJs as my backup dancers.
Any other events or highlights you can think of? I know you've done some trade shows and quite a diverse range. I've seen you in front of cars, in front of all kinds of different products.
Yeah, probably my first ever feeling of I made it as a speaker and as someone on stage is when I get flown over to India to host the Audi R8 India car launch. And they reached out to me. I remember it was my first gig that I got paid over $10,000 US. So at the time, that was a lot of money. And it still is a lot of money, but to go from, I always had a goal. Like I always went, well, if I, from my little city in Brisbane to, wouldn't it be cool if someone would fly me to Sydney and they flew me domestically? Wouldn't it be cool if someone flew me internationally in business class? And the whole experience was so amazing. Like I got flown business class. I never flown business class before on Singapore Airlines. You're sitting there, they know your name. You feel like a superstar. You go to the event, you get picked up in the black beautiful limo, or the exclusive, the executive car kind of thing. And then it's just literally me with the Audi R8, right, on with a silk or a sheet over the top. And it's me hosting the whole event. And that feeling of having, I think there was 800 people in that room, of all people from all over Asia. And it was literally me, the Audi car, the owner of Audi India. And that was a really amazing feeling of like, wow, I've really created and made this. Like, I feel like I made it, just feeling appreciated and validated from what I'm doing in my art form.
Okay, well, great stories, JJ. Very different from the early days of doing the cards, that's for sure. So it's, it sounds like you lived a lot of the dreams you wanted. Can we dive into tools? Now, I'm not sure how to answer this one. You can tell me. I can imagine. It's funny. The first thing I think about with you and what you do, the first thing I think about as a tool is actually the clothing you wear and whatever you might need to do in terms of physical preparation, but maybe there's more going on. And obviously I want to ask you about how the how-to steps of how you made it onto all these stages as well. But in terms of from a practical standpoint, can you think of anything you've really relied on over the years to make all this happen?
I think what helped me a lot actually was doing YouTube videos. And the reason why is it gave me a chance to really learn how to engage and connect with people. And I know that doesn't really make sense to people right now, but when you do videos, and I've done over 500 videos on YouTube, you have to be really good at learning how to effectively communicate who you are really quickly, because online, no one's going to sit with you for a long time and listen to your story. You got to get them quick. So I think learning how to speak on video gave me the opportunity to learn how to basically impress these clients when I wanted to go work on these big stages,
Okay.
right? And then also, definitely, because I am the product, I am the brand. So making sure I look good, I sound good. Going to voice lessons was helpful for me as well.
Okay.
Basically using your voice to get people to listen to it and get them to keep listening to it was
okay. Well, let's switch to the how-to steps, because the tools might surface as well as we go through it. Maybe what you do doesn't need much more tools than your own body, obviously, but I'm sure there's some steps here that might reveal a few things you've used over the years, like the telephone perhaps has come into play at some point in this process. But let's go back in time. JJ's performing on stage, doing more magic, but he wants to level up his game. What did you do as a first step back then? Maybe we should also, I guess, set the scene as well of what you already knew how to do. So at that point, you already knew how to get a gig from a client. How did that normally happen at that point?
Back in the day, this is like 15 years ago now.
Yeah.
The way that you would do it is we didn't have Instagram. There wasn't, programs like Zoom and programs like instant lead finders. And it was very like old school. You have to go through one person to get you to another person, right? So it was mainly through an agency. It was mainly through one person that I'd have to, woo over or build a relationship with for them to showcase me to their clients. But one thing that really
how did you find an agency? Like what's the step for that?
Yeah, you speak to other colleagues. You speak to other colleagues of people that you do it. And then, there was Google at the time. So you are Googling people. And then you are searching like, speaker agency, entertainment agency within your city. And they usually have a roster of people and you contact them and then send them material and build a relationship and then keep in touch with them. But the big thing, Yari, for me, which really got me to stand out compared to anyone else, is I always had amazing promotional material. Like I always made sure my content was slicker than the next guy. I always remember having really cool business cards. My image was very on point, and that's always been me. I've never liked poor promotional images. That's why my website, my show reel, what I'm selling is really high class. So when I went from being a close-up magician to becoming a MC and speaker and host, I had to completely change my messaging. I had to completely change my website. I had to completely change everything about what I look like, who I was, but still have that 5-star quality. So when I went to people, they go, oh, this guy is worth the money, and we would hire him to work for big companies around the world.
Okay, so let's break that down a bit. So when you say a website, this might be a bit basics, but are you like on a Squarespace or a Wix or a WordPress? What are you?
Well, ironically, man, and it's interesting because you can know this. Like, I need to go back a little bit. I probably could find out, but like back in the day, we didn't have the tools we had now to literally create a site. You know, we didn't have Squarespace back then. You
Yeah.
know, it was literally you were hiring someone, or I was either paying someone through. I don't know if Odesk. I think Upwork was around back then. You know, so
As Odesk, yeah, yeah.
yeah, as Odesk. So I was using these guys, but it was completely just, I remember having to have my Skype open and sit with them and like, change this, now change this, now change this. It was very back and forth, but I was always making sure, yeah, I can't remember I think it was WordPress back in the day. And then using my camera, what I would do is I'd pay a video professional videographer and then get him to edit the footage for me. So yeah, I think
Okay.
having the WordPress and then having, or I remember always using a really good printing company as well, because back in the day, people wanted a little bit more tangible
Okay.
information.
Well, take us forward then. So you had a brand new visual presentation with the website, printed materials, your own look. You've changed your name from JJ Magician to, I'm guessing, JJ Host and Speaker or MC or something like that. So you're presenting to the world the new you, but how does that translate to, speaking for Audi or speaking for McDonald's or whatever?
So what I had to do was figure out, okay, like you have to always work backwards. That's what I've always done. Like, hey, how has that guy been able to do it? What steps did he need to do? So I had to realize I was actually speaking to the wrong people. So instead of speaking to an entertainment agency, because they book entertainers, I had to speak with a speakers bureau, or I had to speak with a company that works with the people that that I want to become. Like who are the people they use. So most of my struggles, I would say, was figuring out how to find those people, right? And it's not, once again, it's just not always one person, because yes, if you contact one person, great, they might give you a little bit of work. But I wanted to figure out, hey, there must be a system here. There must be a pecking order. And I'd always try and figure out, hey, who's making that decision? How do I get in front of them? How do I approach them? What can I send them? What can I do? And that was a hard thing for a long time, because there was
How do you
no,
learn that? How do you figure that out?
that's why I struggled for so long, Yarrow, because there was no book here. Like, when you get into this career, there's very few coaches for entertainers. Like, even in business, yeah, there is a business coach. I don't know what it was like back when you were starting business, but there's books and stuff, probably way more books for business coach, like business advice for businesses, than coaches for magicians or how to get more gigs. You sort of have to like just figure it out, or someone has to tell you. And that's what I had to do for a long time. And the biggest issue for me of what I've realized now, and this is why I'm able to coach people, coach speakers, coach entertainers, coach people how to get to the next level super quick, is I had to figure out one thing. I had to figure out what not to say, not what to say, what not to say, right? I was wasting so much energy and so much time on, creating so many things which I didn't really need. And I figured out what I need to say, what I need to give, and that's it. And just do that consistency. And you know me, like where I struggled with was consistency. But I think what the problem was, I probably would have been more consistent if I actually had a plan. If I actually knew this works, just do more of that. Because what happens, like all of us know, you start something, you don't get instant wins, then you try something else. You use a different map. Maybe that, and I should have just stuck to doing that thing. What's working, do more of that. I wish someone told me that when I first started,
What was it back then that started getting you the bigger gigs and got you higher up in the pecking order? I'm curious on both sides. What was the things you learned that you should stop saying, and the one thing or whatever it was that you should keep doing?
Okay, listen up, everybody. Here's the one thing.
Okay.
It's never about you. You are the byproduct. You are the solution to a problem. The hardest thing, and this is the problem, Yari, with artists, entertainers, speakers, hosts, we think it's about us. It's not about us. we are providing a solution to a problem they have. They need a host. They need a speaker. They need someone to move their audience. How do we find that? Okay, I think we need a speaker. So you're that person to fill that role. So when I got away from me, JJ to, hey, this is how I can help you, that completely changed just the whole dynamic, right? So speaking to the people that were the decision makers and giving them that, plus also really leveraging on credibility from other people that I've worked with. So for example, if they've seen you work with McDonald's and Starbucks, right? Oh, they're probably going to trust you to work with their billion-dollar companies. So it's sort of that kind of social credibility.
Mm-hmm. Helps you rise up each time. Okay. So before that, what were you saying that wasn't that? What were you talking about instead?
I was thinking it was all about like what I think it was just over giving them too many things, like overcomplicating it, not understanding who I was, not understanding what I was actually providing for them.
Right.
I've got hey, I'm this guy, I can do this. They don't care. Like figuring out what is the exact thing they need to see. And that thing is really, the video, right? That's your best selling tool, right? Having a simple website, having testimonials. And that's what I didn't have for a long time.
Okay.
Right.
So let's talk about today. How do you, let's say you want to get a gig now with, I don't know, Snapchat, on their big conference they're doing one day. You want to speak on that stage. How would you do that today?
Absolutely. So the biggest thing that most people aren't good at and they need to learn how to do is have a conversation. So there's always 1, 2, or 10 people making a decision. So like, who is the person who organizes that event? Go find that out first. Great. So once you find that out.
How do you do that? How do you find out who's organizing an event?
Google. That's good. Okay. A good start. Yeah. So, they have Snapchat has an events team. I would literally I'd find out who Snapchat marketing team, events team. They may not have the numbers straight on the first page, but there's a way to get to them. Right?
Do you ever use like LinkedIn or something like that? Or?
Yeah, so now I would use LinkedIn. Yeah, but at the time there wasn't LinkedIn around.
Well, what about now? Like I want to totally talk about now. Like what does it look like today?
So step one before anything, I always tell this to people I coach, speakers, artists, entertainers. Before you go to market, if I give you an opportunity tomorrow, are you at the level? Most people go, not yet. We need to fix that. Your steak has to taste amazing. Because if we fake it till you make it a little bit, right? And we get given the opportunity and you do a bad job, it's very hard to come back from that. So making sure your promo material is looking super hot, that you're great, because it's you. At the end of the day, as a speaker, as an artist, it's you still. So you got to be good, right? Let's say that's ticked. Next part now is use every tool that you can to find that answer of who the decision maker is, right? So LinkedIn, Instagram, right, are your 2 strongest. Facebook, not really. LinkedIn, and you've got that navigational sales tool now, right, that people are using, and I'm using that as well, right? Because you can directly find the people who are making the decisions and at least know who they are. So then the next part is once you know the people that you want to contact. So let's say you make a list of 20 of the people that you want to go work with. Let's say you want to do exactly what I've done. Audi, McDonald's, Starbucks, Coca-Cola, Virgin. You make 10 of the biggest companies. I really want to work for them. Great. Second step, who are the decision makers? Great, you've got that. Now your next step is this, saying your product is good. Now your next step, how do I get their attention? That's what you want to do. What do you need to do to get their attention? Here is the number one thing that has given me a chance to close nearly every event since I started doing this. Now, before I tell you it, I had all my chips in order. I was confident. I had the credibility tools. But here's the number one thing. Before you
answer that, I just want to get really clear on the credibility tools. So it's your print imagery.
So your vision. I call it your visual business card.
Okay. So your website.
Your website, your promotional video, and now your Instagram.
Because I was going to ask about that because they're going to check you out on Instagram, right? So
these days, back in the day, they didn't because the the age of the people making the decisions weren't on that anymore. But you have to remember now, they're either being the bosses, leaving, and the new 19 to 30-year-old event. Most of the people in my business are women, right? Event planners are women, right? Meeting planners are mainly women, 90% are women. And they are looking at other ways they're using different platforms now. LinkedIn, Instagram, website. Website's actually not as important as much. It's important, but they want to get to know you as well, because they can't afford, Yarrow, to stuff up.
Right.
Because it's, once again, if you're speaking at their end of year leadership conference for 800 people, they need to make sure that you are going to deliver.
Okay. So it's a lot of vetting you through whatever the platforms you maintain, and you have to be on point there. I'm curious, are you, for production of all of this, is it a lot of you just using a phone? Like, how do you maintain that? Or can you do it as a one-person show?
So what I recommend to people is you definitely want to film every performance you can for two reasons. One, because you want to know how you sound, what you're saying. But two, you can always get a couple of interesting clips to cut them into a reel. You know, now the dynamic has changed. You don't need as much to show like all your stages you've worked on. What you need to sell is your story, right? So you can actually speak to the camera, have some B-rolls of you performing, right, with some testimonials. That's it. That's all they need to see.
And are you using an iPhone most of the time?
Now I am. Yeah, now you are. The iPhone 11, Yarrow, is the best thing ever. You literally don't need anything else. The only thing I would say is probably just have your own, like, have a microphone that you can get off.
Do you?
I don't. No, I don't now, because because I'm at a different level now where I don't need as much. Actually, it's really good you bring this up. I don't need to create as much video material of me.
Because you've done it already.
Because the
showpieces. Right.
Yeah, the showcase already is good now. What I do is I make sure every event I go to, I film it even on the phone, because you can always get an angle, right? You can bring a tripod, you can bring your camera, you can literally put it on the side of the stage for a cool shot because you want to, right? And if it's a big event, I'll hire someone, because, hey, it is always nice to have new footage. But the biggest thing now at any event is not the footage, it's the testimonial. Mm-hmm. And you get that on your phone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you were saying something. You're saying you had to have all your materials set up, your visuals all done really well.
Yes.
Then you're going to give away the secret. You were going to say, the one thing you need to do then is what?
Yes. Hang on, give me okay, cool.
If you got I know we said you have a time.
I've got to go on like 6-7 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So here is the number one thing that I've used to guarantee me a place in the final round. And usually it is the thing that makes me get the gig compared to everyone else on the bill. Because the one thing, Yarrow, too, it's not always just you. You know, the client will put out, we're looking for a speaker or we're looking for an MC. Very rarely, unless they want you, no, they're going to have a few options, and they should, like I would, right? Why would you look at one when you can look at 5?
Of course.
Right? So everyone's a pro. Everyone is great. So how do you stand out? What is everyone doing, and how can you be different? And here it is. I would create a video proposal. Period. This is before what we have now, which is actually, it's only about a year in that you've been able to use companies like BombBomb, Loom to make a quick video to say, hi, Yarrow, hey, thanks for the opportunity. Look forward to meeting with you. I was doing it when iPhone, what was before the iPhone 10? 9? Or no, 5?
8.
Yeah. Did we skip 9?
I think we skipped 9, yeah.
I remember I was like, hey, I remember in 2017 when I first came to the States, I said, hey, how do I get these people's attention? Because emails aren't working here. They're getting emails after emails. And it's like, and they don't want to click a video. So what I would do is, it took me so long. I would literally have my list of people. I would look good in a suit. I would say, "Hi, Yaro, my name is Jay," and I would repeat the same script. And I do that for like 30 or 40 people. I'd copy the footage from the phone, upload it to YouTube, write a title, put that in the email. Like, it would take me 2 or 3 days. But the amount of times I would get in the door with that, because it was so easy for the client to go press F or forward and send that across to the whole team.
Right.
But then that's how I would get in the door. But then once I've wooed them, because I still need to impress their brand or their company. So I would go, once I know, hey, they're interested in you, Jay, I'd go, "Hi, Citibank, my name is Jay. Hey, super excited to hopefully speak with you. Hey, listen, what I've noticed is blah, blah, blah." And I talk to them in their language. And the amount of times I'd come back, they're like, "We love you, Jay. No one's ever done this before." And I wouldn't say it was the closing guaranteed thing, because obviously I'm good, but like, no one ever does that. So
right.
Video proposal for me was still, and today, the number one thing I do. I nearly do it for every client, because now, Yaro, because of what we have software, for example, Loom, LOOM, I buy, like, I'd pay $300-$400 a month for I think it's only $4 now, but I would pay so much money for the ability to be able to do what I can do now and literally do this.
Now, can I clarify then? So the video proposal, or the video greeting, gets you to sort of beat the competition, and they'll at least do a phone call with you, like the decision maker will speak to you on the phone. How do you determine, because you said earlier on, the key is to know what their problem is and then to make your pitch about that. So is that the stage where you find out what their problem is, or how do you know that?
Well, but here's the other thing too, if you got to forget, I don't always get to speak. It's a pecking order, right? So let's say Coca-Cola is having their end of year, let's say Citibank, right, is having their end of year conference. They usually hire an events team or a meetings planning team to organize the whole event. And in that, the meeting planner will organize speakers, entertainers, anything like that. So first things first, you need to have the relationship with that person, with the meeting planner, with the event planner, right? Obviously, they call you, "Hey, Jay, their Citibank is having their end of year leadership conference. They would like you to speak. They've shown interest in who you are, but they want to, we want to send some information across." Then I'll say to her, Sarah, do me a favor. What's their themes? What are they wanting to achieve? Who have they used in the past? What they like, what they didn't like? Tell me everything. So it's sort of like a coaching session, like you're qualifying what they need.
So it's like someone lower on the pecking order can fill in the gaps on what you need to know as like a prep call for the actual call when you do a pitch to the decision maker. Right.
And usually where it works is hey, here are the people I'm interested, like here's who I have to show you, right? It's like the guy with the watches. Here's the watches, right? I got the watches. They go, "Oh, I like that. Great." And then you go get them out. Same thing with talent, with speakers. Here are my speakers. Oh, we like these people. Here are the people we think. Great. Then they come back at you. This is what we want. Then I would come up with a video proposal to share to make the meeting planner look good. Once again, this is the other thing I learned. It's never about you. You're trying to make the person that's showcasing you the best. You're making them look good, right? So once again, it's always, how do I make them look good? What do they need to make their job easier? That was the other thing I forgot to mention before, because it's very rare. This is why the only thing, Yara, why this is very challenging for a lot of people, and it was very challenging for me for a long time to understand this. And I think this, being a friend of mine for a long time. What really bothered me was I never got to speak to the decision maker. It was very hard. And I never really, it was very challenging to know the real reason why I didn't get booked.
Right.
So the only way to fix that problem is you need to have more proposals out of the market.
So just know you're going to get rejected, but the more you get out there,
you're not going to get as rejected as much as you're not going to get chosen because of reasons you don't know.
Right.
And that was very hard for me to understand that, and it took me 10 years to really deal with that. You question yourself.
Yeah.
What do I need to fix? What do I need to do? Right? Like, that was really hard. And that's why most people, to get traction in this game, how do you fix that? You get famous. You
Yeah. Okay.
figure out a way for eyeballs to come to you and want you, rather than you going.
And that can be a good YouTube channel, a good Instagram channel, something like that.
It could be anything.
Yeah.
Getting a TEDx talk, getting on Ellen, getting any kind of advertising opportunities like, oh, this guy's cool. Yeah. And that's what I'm realizing now.
Just to summarize then, so it sounds like step one, get all your materials ready. Your website, doesn't really matter how you get the website done. It can be WordPress, Squarespace, Wix, something. Or you can hire someone, you've got the money to do it. You need to get your print materials. So, your whatever paper materials you might need. You've got to curate, it sounds like, some reasonable Instagram content as well, like be on brand and be polished on that platform, because they're going to vet you there.
Yes,
Maybe
positioning and messaging is important. I'll give you the quick steps. First thing, don't even worry about what website. Use Squarespace. It's amazing. It's really professional to use. It's very understandable, right? Next thing you want to do is you want to get a show reel, right? You need to have a video of what you do. Now, if you haven't had the experience to get on the big stages, because people say, well, how do you get the experience to work for Audi if you've never worked for the big stages before? This is where you fake it till you make it. You call up a charity, you call up a company that is going to have a big gala dinner event. You offer your services for free. You do that 3 times. You film that as your, I work for a big company kind of thing.
Did you do that? Did you ever have any?
Well, here's the thing. I know, because I was already working enough to not.
You had a,
that.
right.
But
do you remember your first show reel before you got the McDonald's and the Coca-Cola? What clients you featured?
Yeah, I still do. But the thing is, I still got to work as a close-up magician for BMW. So what I would do is, anytime I was at an event where like I was working, even sometimes I used to work as a promotional model for these companies, what I would do is I'd like, cause you'd always have to look good. So what I would do to like trick it is I would put on a jacket, go do some magic for like the CEO or someone there. And then you take some video and say, I just worked there. No one needs to know anything different.
I can understand. So you did work there. It's just a case of grabbing the best highlights from any experiences you've had in front of something to give you credibility, right?
Yeah, gotcha. And the problem, why that works is that then you just curate that. So you build that. But I would say to people now, like people who don't have any experience, go work for free at as many events that you feel you can get the value back from videos and photos or anything like that. Because people, you say you work for free, they'll give you an opportunity. You curate that.
You need someone filming you doing all this. Do you just bring a friend, basically?
You can get a friend. Yeah, get a friend. But you know what? There's so many people now who've got a camera that will work for a couple $100 that it's better to get someone who knows what he's doing. But you could get a friend too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, a friend with an iPhone could do this if you're really broke, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then what's the next step after that?
Yeah, the next step, then what you want to do is you want to curate that, do that as a show reel, right? Look at other people's work that you admire and copy that.
Like JJ.
Yeah, look at the verbiage. I did that as well. Look at the wording.
Where's your show reel? Where do we find it?
Yeah, jjcorporate.com.
Okay. So the show reel, and then I know you got to run, so I'm just going to quickly summarize. Yeah. So you've got all your presentation online ready to go. You feel confident you can start approaching people. Then you're going to go look for the 10 or 20 or 30 people within the 10 companies you want to work for. And you're going to try and find them through LinkedIn, through their events page, through Instagram. They might have a page, wherever you can find their contact details. There's no other tools you use, like some sort of lead tool for finding the contacts. It's just a case of just looking through all of this information.
Pretty simple. Like there's always an event or marketing team, and you're either using LinkedIn or Google. There aren't any specific other tricks here.
Okay. And then you find an email address for someone in the team. Is that basically it?
Usually, the bigger the company, the hard. You're never just going to find just an email. You might find, if you have to, I call it like trying to get to the princess. You got to get through the security, like the ogre at the front, then the next guy, then the next guy. Like, there's always some way in. You know, the only reason why agents and speaker bureaus have the advantage is because they've done the relationship work. But what I would do is I'd use them, but I'd also do it myself. And in 2020, I feel way more power, have way more value, and I know how to do it. I don't need to rely on the agencies like I do anymore.
Okay. I know you don't have time, but I'd love to hear a story of like how you found the contact details of someone really difficult. Like you had to search this, phone this person, got me through to this person, which eventually led me to the decision maker. Is that typical what it might happen? You might have to make 3 or 4 phone calls to 4 or 5 people.
Yeah. I love that though. I call it getting to the cheese. And I do this when I coach people. I'm like, and I live in LA, right? So people want to get hold of this director, right? Now it's not Steven Spielberg, right? But let's say it's someone that's still pretty high up there. It's not as much about how there are ways to get to this person. This person has a phone, they have an email, they have Instagram, because they still need work as well. It's just figuring out not as much how to get their attention, how to get to them, how to get their attention, right? Because they see things left, right, and center. Like there's old school ways of like literally, you hear stories of people going and hanging out outside of a director's office until they literally give you 5 minutes to talk to you. Get out of here, man. Get out of here. Les Brown has a great story. He'd go to find a job. Is anyone looking for a job? No, I didn't need you. Get out of here. You keep coming back until the guy says, give me a coffee. He goes, thank you, I will. It's the same thing. Yeah. How are you going to get their attention? And I always tell this to people I coach. Persistence is very powerful. You know this, Yara, too. When people want your attention, most people don't try hard enough. Like they'll try once, twice, hit you. And you got to keep finding new ways to come in. Right? But you also got to be at a point where you can show them value, right? Because if you do get their attention and they do look at your work and it's not up to par, if you haven't figured out what I struggled for a long time, what to say, what to share with them, how you're helping them, then they're going to go, they're not even going to waste their time. They might be nice. They'll say, thanks very much. We'll keep you in mind. No, it's just you didn't give them enough value.
Mm-hmm. So, but most of the time you're finding an email address by the sounds of things somehow.
Yeah.
Probably with LinkedIn or Instagram, whatever. You shoot a personal video with your phone for them. Like you said, upload to YouTube, stick it in the email, shoot it off. That will get to someone, maybe not the first level decision maker, but the person who might be scouting all the talent. Mm-hmm. Then you'll stand out. You'll be one of the top 3. The top 3 will go to the decision maker. They'll give you a phone call. You'll have already been having a chat with the person who's working with them to find out what they really want. So you know how to present to their problem. Yes. You give this great pitch, or you have a conversation with them about the problem they have and how you can solve it for them. Yeah. And then they pick you, and then you got the gig. That's basically rinse. And you do that as whenever you need clients, whenever you need to make, get work.
Absolutely. But you need to have proposals after proposals out, because a lot of the times clients, they want a leadership speaker, and then last minute, no, we're going to actually all go to Bali. Like, okay, all that works. So you literally have to have things everywhere. You need to be doing interviews. You need to be going on Instagram. You need to be creating cool products. And this is why, like I tell people, this isn't short term. This isn't for 10 years. This is forever.
Right. But you can really see though, the progression, like your story is that too, where you kind of add a client to your mix and then another one, and then you learn more about how to find the decision makers, and you get a better show reel. I don't know how many different show reels you've made over the years. You're constantly iterating that show reel too, adding
because every year you want fresh, you want something fresh. Like, what I've realized now, and I've got to go, what I've realized now is, you've got to constantly be fresh. Like people want to see that you're working.
Awesome. Yeah. JJcorporate.com, right?
JJcorporate.com.
Awesome. Thanks, JJ.
Thanks, Sam.
Talk to you soon, man.
Bye. Hey, man.